Hello and welcome to the final video in the I've Graduated What's Next series, where we chat with recent university graduates to hear about their uni experiences, what advice they have for students, and what's next for them. So today I'm joined by Tanmayi, who is a digital strategist at Google. Hey Tanmayi, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks, Lucy. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for being here. So to start off with, do you want to give everyone an intro about yourself? So what you studied at university and what you're doing right now at Google?
Sure. I graduated university in 2019. I was at UNSW studying a Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in marketing and international business. And now I work, as you've mentioned, as a digital strategist at Google. So it's been a year and a half now. And yeah, love to expand more and give advice today as well.
Nice. So I guess just to start off with, so you've done your intro, and the next question I wanted to ask is about your experiences at university, because I know you were pretty involved in the sort of student society space, also through internships through the UNSW co-op program. So do you want to give us a kind of a rundown on your uni experiences, internships, and what you sort of learned from both of those experiences?
Beautiful. Yeah, more than happy to. Maybe I'll structure it year by year in terms of the many experiences that I've had. So I joined university with the co-op program, which is an industry scholarship program for my marketing major. So pretty much coming into uni, I was bright-eyed, really looking for all these different types of experiences. So I thought, I knew societies were a really big thing. So why not start dabbling before I started work through co-op in terms of internships? So I joined a couple of volunteering societies in my first year, as well as 180 Degrees Consulting, which is a social enterprise / non-for-profit based consultancy society. So joined that in my first year, which was, I think, a great experience to obviously meet new people, follow my passion for volunteering and giving back, and then as well start learning a few kind of business skills because it was consultancy based. Then afterwards, kind of, I would say my second and third year more so focused on internships as my major extracurricular activity. So as a part of the co-op program, I was able to, over the course of my degree, complete 18 months of industry experience in the form of internships. So I was working at American Express for my first internship, MSD, which is a pharmaceutical firm, and then finally at Colgate-Palmolive on brand marketing as my third internship. So that was kind of really cool to delve into the world of marketing, which I'd had a passion for, and see different aspects and elements of it in a professional setting. So that would be my industry experience that I had at uni. And then I think to really develop my professional skills, the final kind of society work that I was doing whilst at university was through case competitions. So I joined the UNSW Consulting Club, which do international case competitions. So really got trained on, problem solving, learning how to, solve problems for real businesses, pitch solutions and strategy, and then got to travel overseas to Thailand to compete and represent the university as well, which was a really cool experience. And yeah, that's how I obviously met you, Lucy, through UCC. So very grateful to have had some fun and like extracurricular society experiences, some professional experiences at uni through internships, and then more so kind of professional development society experiences as well.
Yeah, it's always good to sort of have a mix between, not just working, but also meeting new friends and developing new skills through societies as well. So I guess that sort of leads on to my next question, because, you studied marketing, and throughout all these experiences, it sort of led you to a career in a tech company. So I guess, sometimes students still have that kind of misconception that you have to come from like a computer science degree, for example. What would you sort of say is like your advice for students who, they're interested in tech, but they study like a degree in like commerce or science or something like that, something that's not, the traditional pathway that people see?
Yeah, for sure. I think probably working in tech, it's always, I think nowadays more so than ever, like a really hot space to be working in. Everyone's, looking at digital innovation and like digital companies is transforming the world. So I think it's a really exciting space to be in. And that I think is the number one thing to think about is like, if you have a passion for tech and all the different components, I would say think about what the options are, because you don't necessarily, I always thought as well at uni that you had to come from, a tech background. You needed to know how to code, or at the very least, you needed to do information systems as, your business elective to get into tech. But really, I found that that was not the case. If you have, a passion for business and you can see the value of, technology for companies to be able to, invest in tech and in the digital space, whatever it might be, I think that's the number one thing you need is that passion, and you can get there yourself. In terms of, I think, figuring out what's right for you, I found throughout kind of my university experience, as I mentioned before, I had a passion for marketing. And so I knew that down the line, I wanted to be in the marketing industry. And I guess the niche that I'm in now, not really a niche, it's a big part of it, is digital marketing. So I feel that I found it through my first kind of internship at Amex, where I was working on digital acquisition. So doing a lot of kind of digital marketing in terms of, how you can reach the right users online, how you can find the right audiences, how you can market to them, how you can get really sophisticated with that. So that's how I first came across within the function or part of the business that I wanted to work in, the digital space. And then my role now is more so on the sales side of the business. So yes, whilst Google, you might think is just a tech company that provides the search services, the YouTube, the everything, and you need to be a software engineer or something to work here, unless there's the business function that, can provide the source of revenue through the ads part. It wouldn't be able to invest so much in tech. So I would say definitely with all the tech companies that are out there, you can have a look at kind of the functions you want to work in and apply yourself into that function, which is how I found the sales part of the business at Google.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I think it's always important to sort of identify the different areas within the tech company, try and see if there's opportunities in that space. Because I guess tech companies, they're really solving a lot of like big problems in the world right now. So it's a pretty exciting, fast-paced place to be in, as you said. So I guess my next question is, applying to Google and applying to other graduate roles, do you have any sort of advice for how students can best show themselves and like the experiences to companies when applying, and like any tips on the application process?
Yeah, for sure. I think as grateful as I was for the co-op program, not having to apply for internships throughout, I definitely found it so daunting to come, 4 years at the end of my degree, not actually having interviewed for 4 years or actively looked for a job for myself. So I definitely think interviewing and applying for jobs is like a muscle. You definitely have to train it. So I think even if you're not looking for jobs necessarily, find ways to be able to present your work in any possibility or any opportunity that you get. So, applying for new societies also had quite a lot of, their own recruitment processes, which were a great opportunity for me to be able to put myself into an interview situation and environment. So I think like first tip is, yes, even if you've got internships or things lined up for you, don't stop practicing interviewing, because it is like a muscle. You do have to train it. And by the time it comes to the end of your degree and it's, you have to be in top shape, don't leave that muscle as untrained as I did. So that would be the number one tip. And then I think in terms of finding the thing that's out there for you, my personal kind of philosophy when it comes to work or anything you do is know what you want to do, and I guess know why you want to do it. I think coming out of, university, especially having studied business, it was so easy to go down the traditional route of, I will do, an accounting and finance degree and then go into a specific kind of career path that comes with that. But I was kind of like, I know the type of work I enjoy doing. I know that if I'm spending, 10 hours of my day, because no one really has an 8-hour working job anymore or working day anymore. What do I really enjoy doing, and what type of role will I enjoy doing in the next 5, 10, 20 years in terms of applying my brain and my skills? So I would say really evaluate that for yourself, because it might seem like it's just 2 years and it's a grad role, it's a stepping stone into, something else you want to work towards, but you still have to live and breathe those 2 years or how much ever your grad role is. So it should be something that you truly enjoy applying yourself for. So Yeah. Step one, don't stop practicing interviewing skills. Step two, really figure out something you're passionate about and you're happy to live and breathe that for, the foreseeable future before you pursue that option. And then three, I think, is just try out different things. I think being so young and coming out of university, it's so easy to think that this is, the trajectory that this sets me up for, but it is totally okay. Just as we got into uni, I'm sure a lot of us think about, changing degrees. It's just that easy to change kind of your career path as well. So yeah, don't feel too restricted or pressured to go for like the one thing. And if it doesn't work out, it's all doom and gloom. It will work out. Whatever experience you have, you can use it in kind of your next journey. So hope that answers that question in terms of, what I went for when I was looking for grad roles. Yeah, any further questions on that one?
Yeah, so just to follow up on that, I guess, when students figure out what they want to do and they sort of go like, I want to be able to go into a tech company and go into a marketing role, for example. Really good points, by the way, that you mentioned. I think I wanted to delve a bit deeper into, when you actually sit in the interview and, you actually get the opportunity to show yourself to the person who's interviewing. How do you recommend like demonstrating your experiences to them?
Yeah, beautiful. I knew there was a part of your question that I'd missed, and it was that. So I think, definitely in terms of an interview situation, there's a couple of things that I would think about. One is, I think, presenting your answers clearly. When I think that's like, the most straightforward piece of advice that we get. But I think instead of feeling kind of under the pump, you can always try and think of it as like you're telling a story. So, like this is the situation that I was in. These are the actions that I took, and this is what it resulted in. It's a very kind of intuitive way just to kind of frame the full story in terms of giving the examples to the questions that's being asked. And always kind of, I think, try and package it in a story because, yes, information is great, but we're humans. We really like listening to stories and people speaking with passion about what they're telling us. So if you can kind of think about it, oh no, rather than it's an answer to your interview question, this is just my story that I want to tell you, and this is just me as a person. If you can frame it like that in your mind, takes a little bit of the heat off, and it also makes you come across as a lot more impersonable. I think especially now, we do so much of our life, and I guess I'm imagining a lot of, recruiting things are also just online virtually, and you're kind of communicating through the camera. So I think that's more something to be conscious of now, more than when we were, able to be in a room together and gauge each other's energy and vibes in the same room. I think do your preparation and do your homework in terms of just structuring it all out. And I found it really useful when I was preparing to have a Word doc in which I had listed out all of my experiences and written kind of that story of a situation, behavior, impact kind of framework for all of them in a document. So I knew, if a question was asked, I had a whole bank of experiences that I could relate to that. In terms of how to make the most relevant to what's being asked, I think do your homework, right? So when you apply for a certain role, really try and figure out more so than, the simple kind of what is this function? What are the skills that they're looking for? So is it, an individual contributor role where you are in charge of your own business? Like my function is a sales function. So I knew that I had to show that I was able to prioritize my work. I could drive results on my own. I could keep myself accountable. And I knew that these three types of skills would be skills that I really have to showcase. So then with these skills in mind, I would pick the most relevant experiences that showcase that. So having a whole bank of examples that you can fall back, but also understanding almost like, filtering these by the skills that they showcase is a really good way to kind of bring your thoughts together in terms of making those most relevant to what's being asked of you. And it just makes it really easy to be able to tweak what you already have to fit into what the recruiters are looking for. And I think, I guess, a final interview tip would be linking back to, like, what is it that you find really like interesting or what drives you to that role? I think having your own passion and having that, unique reason of why you're applying for this role rather than, oh, I just need a job out of university, using that and those kind of drivers for you to bring that forward to set yourself apart. So for me, I came from a marketing background, and then this is a sales role that I'm in. So, not really all the relevant experience. I had marketing knowledge, which I need in my sales role now, but no sales skills that I had had previously. So I really took it as the story I wanted to walk away with was in my interview. I know I don't come with all of the right experience. I have no sales experience actually to bring to this role, but I've got all of these skills that I've just showcased to you from my examples, but I've also got this personal passion to learn, to drive results for myself, to help small businesses, which is what I do. And that's why I'm really passionate and applying for this role. And I think having that final element of this is why you are different and this is why your passion and motivation for this role is really uniquely yours and this is what you'll bring to the role can help set you apart.
So I guess my final question for you is what's next for you? So I guess what you're sort of thinking in terms of your career, what kind of skills you're thinking of developing or improving, and also just what you're excited about for the year ahead.
Wow, I think that's such a good question. And if you could help me answer it, that would be great, because I think one of the toughest things about coming into, a tech company, which I think a lot of your audience, is looking to get into, is the opportunities are endless, right? I think most tech companies really value about helping you develop into, who you are wanting to be professionally, to find the relevant projects or growth areas for you to go into in the future, which is super exciting because I feel super supported where I am now in terms of, taking my career and growing it. It's, I think, now just about figuring out what I want to do. So a little bit kind of daunting, I think, because you think, once you're out of uni and you've got that grad role, it's all set. It's all, a straight trajectory. But I think it's scarier being in, a couple of years in and you're kind of like, whoa, what is next? What do I want to pursue next? I think I am right now over this year and next year probably taking a similar approach to how I took coming out of uni, which is just focusing on the skills that I want to develop rather than having a very specific role in mind. So personally for me, coming into this role, I knew that I wanted to challenge myself to improve, my ability to solve problems, which I get to do for small to medium businesses with their digital marketing every day now. I knew I wanted to learn how to, be a more persuasive communicator. I think that is what you do day in, day out in sales, which I'm really getting to enjoy. And I think apart from that is as well grow my knowledge of digital marketing, which again, I practice that every day. So I'm getting to do that. So thinking forward in terms of this year and next year, I'm probably wanting to continue to strengthen that, but also I think diversify that. I think I'm really excited working in a tech company. And as I mentioned, I have zero technical skills when it comes to the tech world. So I don't know how to code. I don't know any kind of back end. I don't even know the terminology for it. So I'm really curious to upskill myself in that or any other skills. So whether it be, actually learning some sort of information systems so I can understand it better, learning about new technologies that are within Google that I could look at kind of, applying myself into in the future, or even just something totally different. I love psychology and understanding human behavior, which I think first drew me to marketing. So I'm probably looking at ways to upskill and diversify my skills in all these other areas through some sort of other training or, maybe even going back to uni to help pursue that. So I think, whilst I don't have, unfortunately, a straightforward answer about what is next for me, I think being in my stage now where we're still so early on in our careers, I don't think I want to narrow it down necessarily. I think I want to keep learning, keep growing, and keep kind of improving, and where that takes me in terms of my next role, where I am as well in the world, we'll see. But yeah, that would be kind of my guide, is figure out what skills you want to learn. And I think the right role will kind of just land yourself there and progress you accordingly.
So Tanmayi, thank you so much for your time today. You've shared some really useful advice for students, and you've raised some really good points about the interview process and, really about showing your best self during the interview. So really appreciate it and talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Lucy, for having me, and for everyone, good luck with your applications and internships and your careers.